I want to first say Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
And today, our CEO is not with us because of illness at her home. And we wish her the very best, her children and her husband. And in her place, of course, is a gentleman who's been in that seat before, and we welcome him today. But just because I know Indy is on the line, we're just sending our best to her. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to call to order the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee. Teresa, roll call, please.
Ms. Welch,
Present.
Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
Mr. Love,
Yes.
and Mr. Sleesman.
Here.
You have 4 committee members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Today, we're going to have at least 5 different meeting or items on the agenda today. We're going to start off with the East 79th Street Light Rail Station ADA reconstruction with the presentation of the proposed concept design. Up at the podium, we have Brian Timming, the Quality Assurance Manager and Project Support, and Ken Emling, Director of Public Architecture at Bowen. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Welch, committee members, and members of the board. Again, my name is Brian Timming. I'm a project manager for the East 79th Street Light Rail construction. With me, I have Ken Emling with Bowen. He is the Director of Public Architecture. What we'd like to do is kind of provide you an overview of the conceptual design for the station, kind of where we're at. To start, I will go through kind of an overview and then turn it over to Ken to run through the conceptual design. So the East 79th Light Rail Station was built back in the early 80s. It serves both the blue and green lines on the east side of Cleveland. It runs out towards Shaker. It's kind of reached the end of its useful life. The primary purpose of this project is to rehabilitate the station to bring into ADA compliance. Second is we want to improve connections to the neighborhood and provide transit-oriented development opportunities. These are a couple images from the East 79th Street corridor study. The light rail station offers opportunity to attract mixed high-use development. This area has a high volume of public-owned properties. So this isn't what's exactly planned for the TOD, but it just kind of is an example of what potential there is on the site. Some of the benefits is for existing workforce, bring in new jobs, also attract new residents to the area. Also important to RTA is environmental justice. The East 79th Street Light Rail Station is located in an environmental justice concern area. It hits the benchmarks for both the minority population, greater than 30%, and also population below the poverty level. This station will invest $10 million into this area. In 2023, as part of GCRTA's Traction, which is our performance management, we've invested $18.6 million into EJ zones, which accounts for about 77% of the money we spend on major projects. Also, this is an investment into the Opportunity Corridor, which is shown here. The number 2 is where the light rail station is. So this, again, will be a $10 million investment into this corridor. So this is a blow-up of the project site map. The station in orange are the platforms, which are elevated above East 79th Street by about 18 feet, accessed by that red kind of line there. Stairway, it's the only access. To the south of the site is Hillside Community Park, which is owned by Burnbell Car Development, Inc. So some of the design elements we asked Bowen's team to look at when they started this was, one is at the street level, to create a head house entrance that'll serve both as the entrance to the train station, but also serve to provide waiting environment for the number 2 bus route, which runs along 79th Street. Also, we'll look at putting a ADA compliant crosswalk across 79th to provide provisions for installing a second bus shelter on the east side of this street. These are some images of the existing condition. The sidewalk out front of the station, the stairs heading up. As part of this project, we'll provide new cover access via a stair and ramp from the street up to the station platform. We're also looking at providing access between the Hillside Community Park and the station. Up at the platform level, we'll provide two new light rail platforms, both on east-westbound platform, also a pedestrian grade crossing. As part of this project, we will not be doing any track work that was redone in 2021 as part of the light rail track rehabilitation program. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ken Emily to go through the conceptual design.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ken Emling. I'm the Director of Public Architecture with Bowen & Associates, and I'm representing the entire Bowen design team here today. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I look forward to showing you the design that we've come up with. When we began the project, as we do with all of our projects, we study the site, not only just the site proper, but the neighborhood around it to understand where people will be coming from, where the buses will drop people off, where pedestrians will access the site. We understand here that, it's not just the station, there's also a beautiful park just to the south of it with Hillside Park. And there's a neighborhood there that people will walk through the parkway and they want to access the station from there. So we look at the big picture, which is what we did at on the early stages of our design. And then we never want to just come up with one option. So we developed many options of how you get from point A to point B, which is from East 79th Street up to the platforms. And so what I'm going to show you here is just a few of the options that we ran through in order to come up with the option that we developed further. So the first one was just simply, can we do some switchbacks in an ADA compliant way to get you from the street level up to the platform level? That was option one. Then we said, could we bring you to a center point with a sidewalk, sort of a pause point in front of the park, and then take you both left and right to work your way up to the platform. So again, just different ways of looking at how we can utilize this beautiful hillside to bring people up. The third one was, let's bring people up to a pause point, and then you could either take a stair or a ramp system back up to the platform itself. And then we said, well, let's have some fun. Maybe there's a way to do some type of seating element or amphitheater type thing looking at the park itself. And then finally, because this is a hillside, let's try to be a little bit more organic with our walkways. Instead of being so orthogonal and straight, what if we curved these a little bit, but still achieved the same purpose? So what we ended up with, in conjunction with Brian and his team, was we decided to go with the curved scheme, which was the last one that we showed you. And to the right on the screen is 79th Street. There's a subtle sidewalk on a subtle curve that takes you from a little head house area at the street where there'd be sheltered waiting up to a pause point in the middle of the hillside. From there, if you're able, you can take a stair directly up to the center of the platform, or there's a set of ramps to the left that take you up to the west side of the platform. We also wanted to make sure that if somebody was coming from the park, they could get to a point where they didn't have to go all the way to 79th Street to then make their way up to the platform. So there's a set of ramps that take you from the existing walkways in the park. You can go to the left and get to the platform as well. So we tried to make sure everybody from every angle, from every direction, had the easiest path to get up to the platform itself. And this is an overall site plan. You can see there's those two walkways that exist today in Hillside Park. We wanted to make sure our design addressed those and addressed the landscaping they've done there and the benching they've done there, all in the effort to make it easy and ADA accessible to reach the new platforms up at the rail area. So now I'm going to show you a little bit of some 3D modeling of what we think the station could look like. We kind of call this organic architecture. We don't want to take away from the hillside, we just want to enhance it with the design. So since this is not an actual building, we've tried to make the hillside part of the design. So what you see here, this is sort of a bird's eye view. There will be three main canopies, one at the street, one that's over that center stairway, and one that's over the ramps to the left. This is a view from if you're standing on 79th Street and you're looking up towards the station itself. You can see at street level here, we have this little structure where you could wait for a bus. There's signage, there's information there. It's sheltered, there's a canopy, and then you can begin to take these walkways up to the station if you're going to take a train. This is just another view a little bit farther to the north as it is in the evening with the lights on. You can also see the ADA crosswalk there that will go across 79th Street to get to a new stop on the east side of the street. This is a view looking from the park, so you can see the stairway that's to the right of the screen that can take you directly up to the platforms. You can also see the ramping system that takes you up from the left. So if you do need ADA accessibility, that's what this station's all about, so that gets you directly up there. There will be some retaining walls that will be concrete, so we've shown an idea of what could be some public art that could be put onto those retaining walls. Again, this is just our graphic. It could be something very different, but it's an opportunity to also add some color to the station as well. This is a view as you just be approaching that stairway, and you can see the canopies. They're light, they're airy, they're made out of steel. Everything is very open. So if at any point, any place you're standing within the station, you can turn, you can look around, you feel like you're safe, you see your environment around you. And it's inviting. It's inviting you up to the station. It's inviting you up to the trains. And this is a view looking at these ramp systems that are over to the west side. Again, simple railings, nice landscaping that's indigenous to the area, is non-invasive, is hardy enough to stand the test of time without a watering system. We're looking at things that are some grasses that have to be cut, some low-mow grasses, some shrubs that change color throughout the different course of the seasons, and also maybe some ornamental grasses, things that will just enhance the landscape. And then this is a view. There's a little pause area halfway up the one ramp. This is kind of looking back towards 79th Street. So the canopies have a nice sort of curved flow to them, the opportunity for public artwork, the landscaping, seating areas, just a warm, inviting environment. And then finally, when you're close to the platforms, you'd see that you're undercover. These metal canopies will have nice lighting for in the evenings, obviously railings for safety and ADA accessibility as you approach the train area. And then finally, just another view of the little head house area at East 79th Street as it approaches nighttime. And I will turn it back over to Brian.
All right, thank you, Ken. So the construction estimate right now for this project is $8.1 million. It'll be funded through the All Station Accessibility Program grant. We received the grant for $10 million. That additional funding is being held aside for contingencies during bidding and construction. Our schedule moving forward is right now we're in the design phase. We're hoping to complete the design by end of October. Put it out the bid over the winter time to start construction next spring, so March of 2025. We're anticipating right now about 18 months for construction, so opening the station September of 2026. Right now, community and stakeholder involvement, we had a conceptual design workshop that included members of GCRTA, various department user groups. So we had rail, operations, facilities in there. To kind of go through the pieces and parts to make sure it suited their needs. We also had the City of Cleveland's Planning Commission to kind of make sure that what we're doing fits the neighborhood. And then Burn Bell and Car Development, Inc. As them being the primary owner of the property to the south of us, we wanted to make sure what we're doing interacts well with the park itself. Moving forward, we're looking to schedule a public meeting end of January. We're working with Burn Bell and Car public engagement to come up with a meeting space, location, and time. We'll take this before the Community Advisory Committee. Right now, they're going through orientation, so once they're onboarded, we'll be able to present this to them to get their feedback as well. With that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I just want to say I truly appreciate the intentionality and the diligence in the work that you're doing and the different concepts, the designs, thinking through how that's going to interact with the community, I think is just very important. And obviously we prioritize accessibility. So this is just something that we obviously are anticipating, and thank you for your work. This is really great. With that said, are there any questions from the committee? Bruce Leesman, yeah.
I just have a couple quick questions. I assume part of the contact with the city is about 79th Street, because isn't that getting rebuilt sometime soon?
Yeah, so we had some early conversations. I believe it's a few years out that they're looking to reconstruct the street itself.
Yeah.
So when we kind of came up with the concepts, we kind of showed a few potential future. If you look on 79th, you'll see kind of the bump outs there. We're envisioning some bump outs. Also talk with the Planning Commission a little bit about what that pedestrian experience looks like along the streets.
Okay.
As part of this project, we are going to enhance the sidewalks underneath the bridge, since that is RTA's bridge, replacing that old metal guardrail that's there with actually something that meets code. Also additional lighting. That's another opportunity for public art potentially along those walls, things like that.
Just want to make sure we're ready for that since it's in the
Yeah,
kitty.
as part of also the development, off on the west side of the platform, you'll see a little connector pathway. That kind of came out of conversations with the city to provide a connection point to the station to the north of the tracks, because that's where a lot of the development along Opportunity Corridor is happening right now.
Great. And then that was you mentioned the artwork possibility, maybe front of the bridge as we do that. For the artwork for the station itself, it would be, I would suggest at least that be not only when we work with Burton Bell Carr for those community meetings, not only something that we kind of ask for feedback on, but actively ask the community and Burton Bell Carr to be a part of, or like actually solicit, like, hey, we want your ideas.
Yeah, usually when we put a call out for artists, we'll have them as part of the selection committee.
Great. That's all I have for now.
Thank you. Mayor Kumar? No? Reverend Lucas?
I also want to commend the committee. I've been a part of the 79th project. As you know, it's probably one of, if I had to put 1 to 10, it's probably number 1 as far as the looks of the rest of the projects that we have. And now we look like we have not a 10, but a 12. You've done an excellent job. So we're looking forward to this. I hope Reverend Pinckney's on the line because she's always talking about the 79th Street project. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you so much. There's no, oh, yes. One more question, yes.
Thank you. Thank
Trustee
you for the
Love.
presentation this morning, and really excited to see the concept design. Curious as community engagement moves forward, but also as you look back at previous engagement, have you been able to engage the paratransit user community, particularly around the accessibility and the design?
Yeah, a lot of what we've incorporated into this is, I guess, from lessons learned and past engagement. In the past, the concept used to be elevators. We've kind of switched to this ramping scheme, again, as a comment from the ADA community. For this project, we haven't yet. That ADA subcommittee within RTA was always part of the Citizens Advisory Committee. So we're hoping now that that's being brought back online, we'll be able to engage them further. I know Burton Bell Carr is reaching out to a lot of the local as far as engagement, potentially holding out a school. We're looking at creating it more than just focused in on the station, but also potential career paths here at RTA, things like that, as other opportunities.
Thank you, Trustee Love. Any additional questions? Okay, there's no further action on that. Thank you, Mr. Timming and Mr. Imling. We appreciate the presentation today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're now going to move forward to an RFP procurement, a competitive negotiated procurement with the design and engineering services of the Metro Health Line Bus Rapid BRT and related improvements on the West 25th Street. We have presenters Joseph Schaefer, Director in Engineering and Project Development, and Jen Martin, the Contract Administrator for Procurement. Thank you so much.
There we go. Is that better?
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Chair Welch, members of the committee, members of the board. I'm Joe Schaefer. In addition to being Director of Engineering, I'm the Project Manager for the Metro Health Bus Rapid Transit Design. The goal is to construct an FTA-funded bus rapid transit on West 25th from the Detroit Superior Bridge approximately 4 miles south to Broadview State Pearl Road, where they all split there. That's about 4 miles. It traverses 5 neighborhoods. It's a GCRTA priority corridor. and in 2019 it had 1.7 million boardings. We're planning on 44 new curbside stations, traffic signal enhancements so the buses can run faster, and community-led involvement as we complete the design. Here's the corridor with the stations. They're a little small there, but there are 3 processes for this project: planning, which was led by Mary Beth Feek, the 25 Connects project. This is the design and engineering phase, which includes NEPA and Section 106 environmental documents. And then finally, we'll be coming to you with construction projects eventually in future IFBs. We want to achieve compliance with NEPA and Section 106, and that will be demonstrated by FTA concurrence. We want to document categorical exclusion with Section 106 compliance. This is an environmental justice community along the corridor. Their transit-oriented development coordination with the city and development organizations. The corridor is quite alive, as demonstrated by Metro Health committing over $1 billion and the intro development over $100 million in development. A feature of the project will be a bilingual English and Spanish in terms of meetings, the presentations, the documents. It is the largest concentration of Spanish speakers in the state. The signage will also be dual language, and our website as well. The shelter design will be in-house by GCRTA, and they'll be responsible for Brian Temming, who just spoke to you. So we'll determine the final number and locations, the family of shelter sizes, small, medium, large, and perhaps extra large, the amenity packages. They'll be appropriate to the area context, and a modern, light type of structure. We're going to continue engagement with the customers and stakeholders as well in the design of these shelters. And at all bus stops will be concrete bus pads in the street. So as we go forward with the design, we'll first complete a survey including adjacent buildings, access and parking, develop roadway intersection and drainage profiles and cross-sections, develop signal plans where we'll be replacing span wire intersections with mast arms and installing a transit prioritization system along the corridor, and lighting and utility plans as necessary. So the design will participate in public meetings. We'll design landscaping along the corridor where possible. It is a fairly tight corridor in terms of development. We'll develop cost estimate and schedules, create 100% construction bid documents. The designer will also assist during bidding and assist in construction administration. Our schedule, which is quite lengthy as would befit a project of this size, starts out with 90 days for the survey, 180 days for the conceptual design, and we'll be coming back to you, the board, with our design once we get going. 180 days for the NEPA documentation, 330 days for preliminary documents, or almost a year, and 450 days for construction documents. Then there'll be 730 days for construction services, so we're planning a 2-year construction process. And now Jen Martin, the contract administrator.
Good morning. My name is Jen Martin. I am contract administrator for this project. The request for proposal was issued on July 26th of 2023. It was accessed on the GCRTA website by 41 interested parties, including subcontractors. 4 firms submitted proposals and 4 firms were interviewed. The evaluation panel members consisted of members from RTA in the Engineering and Project Development Department, Programming and Planning, the Safety Department, Project Support, Quality Assurance, the Office of Management and Budget, Administration and External Affairs, Office of Business Development, and Procurement. Following the Brooks Act for this RFP, the evaluation criteria consisted of the evaluation of the project manager, the assigned staff, past performance, project approach, location of the majority of the work, and DBE participation. GCRTA has identified the most technically qualified vendor as Michael Baker International, Inc. of Cleveland, Ohio. A 13% DBE goal was assigned to this project and will be met by utilizing the following: 2LMN, Inc. and ASC Group, Inc. Michael Baker International, Inc. has successfully completed projects for the GCRTA, ODOT, Norfolk and Southern, Cuyahoga County Department of Public Works, the Port of Cleveland, and Pittsburgh Regional Transit Authority, among others. Michael Baker International, Inc.'s personnel are experienced and familiar with the Metro Health Corridor as a consultant and in providing quality deliverables. Staff requests that the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee recommend award to Michael Baker International, Inc. for design services for the Metro Health Line Bus Rapid Transit, the BRT, a negotiated total contract amount not to exceed $2,353,751.00. And with us in the audience, we also have Vice President Jeff Broadwater from Michael Baker International, should the board have any questions for him or Joe or myself. We will happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the committee? Mayor.
I had a question just on the concept on West 25th. And again, Detroit Superior South, where does it, the terminus on the south, how far does it go?
To the Broadview and Pearl split.
Perfect, okay, thank you. Question on, it's a very busy road. How do you envision those stations being placed? Would those be along the edges of the public right-of-way on either side of the roadway?
Yes, that's what we're anticipating.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think I would favor that design over like the Euclid corridor design, just in terms of flow for other vehicle traffic. So I think both could maximize that from my experience of being at the clinic and some other times. I was just curious on that. And then if those buses are flowing along and they're pulling off the right, are those lanes along the edges of the roadway going to have priority during rush hour or high transit peak times?
Yes, there'll be some exclusive lanes. We'll examine that during the traffic analysis portion of the project, exactly where they'll start and stop.
Okay. And then the signalization with the buses, just a little bit more on that. I know you're just getting into it, but in terms of the flow of all traffic, would the buses just flow with the normal signalization?
More than likely, we'll have the normal signalization. So the goal is to increase the throughput through that area. And so we look at the new technology. So the technology that we have on Euclid is a bit older, but there's some more cellular technology that will allow us to create signals that hold so that the bus can get through the light and continue down the street. And it would depend on where we're at along the corridor. So each of the neighborhoods has sort of a different traffic pattern, and we're looking at that with this project.
Perfect. That's the answer I wanted.
All right.
Trustee Love.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation this morning. Just a question, will the traffic engineering or will a separate process really undergo the placement of and frequency of stops along the route?
During the planning process, the proposed locations were identified, and we would generally conform to that plan unless traffic analysis tells us something different.
Is there going to be community input as to placement of the stations in addition to the engineering placement?
We will engage the community on the final locations, yes.
Any additional questions? Trustee Sleesman.
So to Dr. Kaver's point, increasing throughput along this corridor, we do that, right? The most efficient way to get people through here is on a bus as opposed to each individual vehicles. So I would really like us to be aggressive when it comes to having as much dedicated space for our vehicles as possible, to the extent that we can with the city. But I really like for us to push for that. And with very few exceptions, the entirety of this route is very uncomfortable for pedestrians. So I'd like us to be pretty aggressive thinking about pedestrian safety and that experience as well. All of our riders are pedestrians before and after they ride our vehicles. So I just want to kind of put those out there as expectations for this.
Okay, and we will be addressing those issues.
Ms. Welsh, if I could add one
Yes.
other item.
Yes.
And this is for Trustee Love. So just to provide just a bit of background, the planning portion of this project was done with the city and with those communities in a very active way. And so we will continue that spirit, but we have a great working relationship with the communities along that corridor. And in our planning efforts, a lot of the items of workstations would be and kind of how they might be within the typology were worked out. But we'll continue that for sure. But just know that we did spend a lot of time with the community on the original plan and design.
If there are no further questions, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Love.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much. This will be moved forward to the full board. The procurement for the design and engineering services of the Metro Health Line Bus Rapid and the related improvements of the 25th Street. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Now we will have the RFP procurement with a presentation of a competitive negotiated procurement for a consultant to conduct a transit access barrier study, persistent poverty. Today we have presenters Mary Beth Feek, Director for Programming and Planning, and Ashley Bober, Contract Administrator for Procurement. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chairman Welsh, members of the committee, Reverend Lucas, and members of the board. I'm Mary Beth Feek. I'm Director of Planning for RTA. This morning you've had an engineer, an architect, and now a planner. We'll see who's next. I'd like to present to you the Transit Access Barrier Study. It is a study funded by the Areas of Persistent Poverty from the FTA. And let me get going the right way. This is a map of our service area, which is Cuyahoga County. The red is the areas of persistent poverty. Obviously, most of our region in our area is within that area. That's why we have this study. Recently, we were #1 for poverty in the U.S. Yay. Not a place we want to be, but that has helped us in wanting to study this population. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our social mobility journey, which is what it has been. We started with the Paradox Prize program where we partnered with the Centers for Families and Children, and we were enabled to give fares to people who are going through job training to get to work and their job training. And we learned a lot about that population. Then we went on to the Fare Equity Study where we studied fare equity and what our passengers and our customers need for fares and what the issues are. Next Gen, where we completely revamped our system to get people to work and places they need to be. Baby on Board is a process that we have going right now with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, where we're giving fares to people, women in prenatal programming to get the infant mortality rate down. Microtransit, first and last mile in Solon, the Aerozone, those pilot projects are running now. And we also have had the community immunity bus, our literacy outreach, as well as you see, get vaccinated on our advertisement on shelters. Transit Access Barrier Studies is the next realm of that, studying all that we've learned and able to make our system better and to get people not only where they want to go, but get there for the purpose of what they need to get there for. So the study goal is to identify the barriers to transit. Our system is robust for our size, but we want to get recommendations of how we can make it better to eliminate the barriers to using the system to get people out of poverty, where they need to go to work, to study, and to appointments. This is an area of persistent poverty that's identified and what we went through for the FTA. And the study is very unique. We've never done one like this. It's 3 basic elements: existing conditions. What we've learned, we've actually been out in the community a great deal in the last year talking about this, is there's a lot of demographic research out there, and we're going to use that, and it's going to be academically based, literature reviews, figuring out what we've got, what has been done, and use the research and the work that's being done in that community right now. Then direct research, asking people. You hear that a lot. meeting people where they are, where the engagement, and getting people to tell us in an area that people don't always trust us. So how to do that effectively and get the information we need. And then third is, what are the transit barriers? What can we do as an RTA, as a public transit agency, to make it easier for people to get to where they want to go? And then a final report. So existing conditions, I talked a little bit about it. We want to know where people are, who they are. Are they elderly people? Are they people with young families? Are they people who have just been incarcerated? Who is persistent poverty? What does that population look like? What are their needs? Where are they located? What bus routes are they located at? Where are they going? Is the population moving? We hear a lot about suburbanization of poverty. That's harder for a system like ours. But where do they need to go and how? And then the summary to get us to the next step, which is the direct research, asking people, engaging that population, and summarizing where they want to go and what the issues they have with transit. And then we go and we walk with people. We walk the routes. We see the bus stops. We often heard our bus stops are scary. They're not perceived as safe. Where are they? Is there some tweaking that we need to do on a system, on a route? I'm not talking about putting a commuter route to Solon or Akron or Painesville. I'm talking about little system things that we can do to make our system better in order to enhance people and eliminate some of those barriers to transit. So that's basically what the whole study is about. This is a schedule. It's a year-and-a-half schedule because of the time it takes to ask people and get that data. I mean, we've got 3 areas of data that we need to look at and to incorporate all that into a solid strategy for going forward. So the participation schedule, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit of what we look at. We'll have a kickoff meeting, and we have an oversight committee with our CEO, Dr. Kaver, and Dr. Walker-Miner have been very actively engaged in this program already, and that oversight will continue as we proceed. Phase 1 is about July. We will ask, again, go to our steering committee, as well as perhaps the board committee in July of, what do you think? This is what we found. And then again in January of the next year, this is what we found not only in our direct research, but also in our findings. And then again in the spring of 25, this is what our final report's looking like. This is what the recommendations, and then complete the study in June of 25. And with that, I will lead it to Ashley, our procurement person.
Good morning, Chairperson Welch, members of the committee, and members of the board. My name is Ashley Bober, and I am the contract administrator for this project. Before I begin my presentation, I do want to call out some really important statistics that were in your summary of proposed award, and I do think that they are worth mentioning out loud. According to the 2023 U.S. Census Bureau data, the city of Cleveland has the highest poverty rate among large U.S. cities at 31.2%, overtaking the city of Detroit. Cleveland remains last among large cities with child poverty, with over 46.1% of all children within Cleveland living in poverty. The number and share of people over the age of 65 living in poverty has increased over 41% in the previous decade, which equates to 10.2% of the older population overall. Lastly, 49% of neighborhoods in Cleveland, which were low poverty in 1980, became high poverty by 2018. I provided these statistics not to add to our potentially melancholy mood on this snowy and rainy Tuesday morning, but one, to help us understand the enormity and the magnitude of this problem, and secondly, to give us hope that there are many great people who are passionate about this issue, and they have dedicated their lives to making Cleveland a better place. And I am so very excited today to introduce you to the firm once we get through the presentation. So thank you for listening, and I will begin. The request for proposal was issued on August 11th of 2023. It was accessed on the authority's website by 19 interested parties, and 3 firms proposed. The evaluation panel was representatives from external affairs, grants management, marketing, planning and development, and procurement. The evaluation criteria used to evaluate the proposals was the firm experience, the knowledge and experience of individuals assigned to the project, the capacity of the firm and the team, technical experience, methodology and project approach, and cost. As a reminder, this evaluation criteria is published with the RFP solicitation package, so all of the firms that download the solicitation package know exactly how their proposals will be evaluated. The recommended firm is HDR Engineering Incorporated. They're headquartered in Omaha, Nebraska, but they do have a local office in Cleveland, Ohio. They have 12,000 employees worldwide with over 215 worldwide office locations. The Cleveland, Ohio office has about 40 employees. There was a 0% disadvantaged business enterprise goal assigned by the Office of Business Development. HDR successfully completed the authority's strategic plan in 2019 and 2020. This strategic plan was subtitled A Framework for the Future. So the strategic plan covers from 2020 to 2030. It's a 10-year strategic plan. HDR has an extensive understanding of the authority and its service area. HDR has a local, multidisciplinary, and comprehensive team of professionals experienced in transit, persistent and concentrated urban poverty, community engagement, and developing solutions. They have a deep academic resources through Case Western Reserve University's the Center on Poverty and Community Development to provide knowledge, strategy, and expertise. HDR understands the importance of robust, inclusive, and innovative community engagement and local outreach. They are experienced in working alongside community, local, regional, and national agencies to initiate, expand, and improve services. And lastly, there's a fundamental belief that transit is more than just a basic service, but rather a building block to enhance the lives of every citizen. So continuing, HDR will be collaborating with two consultants. The first is MS Consultants, and that company will be primarily responsible for the engagement in the local outreach portion. And then secondly, Dr. Robert Fisher. He's an associate professor at the Jack, Joseph, and Morton Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences at Case Western Reserve University. And he's also the co-director of the Center of Poverty and Community Development. He and his team will be providing the academic portion of the study. Other clients of HDR include the authority. Of course, I mentioned they developed our strategic plan, San Francisco Bay Area Transit, Pittsburgh Regional Transit, the Central Ohio Transit Authority, Oregon Department of Public Transportation, and the Ohio Department of Transportation. Staff requests that the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee recommend to the Board of Trustees an award to HDR Engineering Incorporated to provide a transit access barrier study in a total contract amount not to exceed $649,640.95. This amount is 19% below the estimate of $805,000. Before I turn over to questions, I'm very happy and excited to introduce the team. They are here today. I'll begin with Josh Sikich. He is a project manager at HDR. He was also the project manager for our strategic plan. So I would argue that nobody knows RTA better than probably Josh. Amy Snell, maybe a familiar face in the crowd. Amy was employed by RTA for over 10 years. She was a planner in our planning department. She was also the project manager for the Baby on Board program, so she does have lots of experience in this area. Kelly Britt of MS Consultants. She formerly worked at NOACA for about 10 years, and she's been at MS Consultants now for about 2. And lastly, Dr. Robert Fisher. I call him my ace in the hole. He is the co-director on the Center of Poverty and Community Development, and we are so very excited that HDR compiled this team. And we are happy. I am happy to answer questions. I know they will be happy to answer questions, or please.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And I want to thank you for stating those statistics on the record, because I think it's important about how it's important to read as we're talking about how we are informed in this work and how we're creating access and opportunities for individuals in this region. And so thank you for that. Trustee Sleesman and I have been talking about for years, every map of Cleveland is a redlining map. And so the more we can talk about how we are eradicating barriers, the better our services are for individuals. And lastly, to see Dr. Rob Fisher here from CWRU, I mean, he is renowned nationally, around the country. His work precedes him, and so to know that he's on board this project is stellar, and how lucky are we to have him. So thank you again, and if there are any questions from the committee, we will take them. They will take them. Yes, Mayor Kumar.
Just a question. I would be interested in understanding how the final report deliverables are going to be structured, because I think that would be important in terms of how, actionable they are for RTA. I just don't have a lot of background in that, so I was just curious if you could elaborate on that.
Sure, there'll be the phases. Phase 1 will be the recommendations from the research, 2 would be what comes from the study, and 3 would be the transit barriers. The final report will be all of them combined. What I'll look for is a spreadsheet and an action plan to proceed forward with what we can do. Can we move the number 10 an extra 20 minutes? Can we move this stopover on Miles slightly west? And then the cost of that. And then similar to our strategic plan, what's the low-hanging fruit, what'll that cost us, and then, the medium and then the longer term. That's what I look for. I'm an action-oriented person.
Thanks.
No questions, but you put together a great team here, so I'm looking forward to this. And to the extent that I might be of some service in my 9 to 5 for the bigger picture and adjacent things, just let me know and we can geek out on some stuff.
We did have one of your associates helping us through this committee.
Oh,
Any additional questions? Trustee Love? Oh, Trustee Mersman?
Thank you. I know this is funded through a grant. I'm curious about the overall grant amount, and given that the cost estimate, the proposed dollar amount is potentially lower if we're not reaching the full cost of the grant we received, or if you could speak to that a little bit.
Our full grant was $589,000, so we're right there.
Great, thank you.
If there are no further questions, do we have a motion to move this forward to the full board?
So moved.
Second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will be moving this to the full board. The negotiated procurement for the consultants to conduct a transit access barrier study for persistent poverty. Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you all for being here today. Next up, we're going to have a presentation of a competitive negotiated procurement for architectural design and services for the Brook Park Rail Shop. And we have presenters Matt Marotta, resident architect in engineering and project development, and Jonathan Lowell, for program contact manager for procurement. You now have the floor. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Welch and committee members and members of the board. My name is Matthew Marotta. I'm a resident architect, project manager at RTA. I'm happy to be here with you today presenting on the competitive negotiated procurement for architectural and engineering services, design services for Brook Park Rail Shop modifications. As you can see on the screen here is an aerial view of the Brook Park RTA property area. To your left of the screen is the existing Brook Park train station, and Brook Park Road is located over there also, and that's where the curb cut entrance is to our facilities for the Brook Park Rail Shop and existing Brook Park substation. So along that access way, we're proposing to put a security gate and fence area, and as you would, in the middle is the existing substation, and to the far right is our existing rail shop building that we will require modifications. The primary purpose of this project and within the project limits is GCRTA plans to utilize the existing Brook Park Rail Shop building and site to commission a new rail car fleet when it arrives. The existing building and site requires modifications and improvements prior to taking delivery and commissioning of the new rail car fleet. It's very important. So architecture engineering firm design services are required to produce a complete set of construction documents to provide these building modifications and site improvements. As I mentioned earlier, this is a view looking at our existing substation along the access driveway. At this location, we're proposing to put a security gate and fence to, provide a positive separation and barrier for any trespassers. This will provide access to, past the substation and to the existing rail shop facility. On your screen here is a few pictures of the existing Brook Park rail shop that requires the modifications. On the upper picture, you can see in white track 11 and track 10 is labeled. Track 11, electric systems for train car maintenance and portable train jacks lifts is required. So we'll be making those improvements. Also along track 10 and 11, fall protection system above the train car for roof access. Track 10, we also need to extend the fall protection railing system along the maintenance pit and along the mezzanine level, modify the existing floor system to access the train roof for equipment areas on the train car for maintenance and commissioning. Also, we're providing, reviewing our existing gantry trolley system and crane system within the facility, report and any modifications required that are improvements needed for those pieces of equipment. Brief project overview of the scope of services: to provide a field survey near the substation where the gate system will be proposed, provide the building modifications as mentioned earlier, security gate and fence system, as I mentioned, the gantry trolley and jib crane inspection and report, construction plans and specs, prepare the construction estimate, provide bid support and construction administration services during construction. I will turn it over to Jonathan Lawley with our procurement department.
Good morning, Jonathan Lawley, Program Contract Manager for this project. The request for proposal for this was issued on October 20th, 2023. It was reviewed by 16 interested parties, including subcontractors. One firm submitted a proposal. That firm was interviewed. The evaluation panel members on this project were from the Engineering and Project Development Department, Safety Department, Office of Management and Budget, Operations, Office of Business Development, as well as Procurement. The criteria is in alignment with the Brooks Act. We reviewed the project manager, the assigned staff, the past performance, their project approach, their location of the work, and DBE participation. The most technically qualified firm selected for this work is Parsons Transportation Group Incorporated. They'll be using G&T Associates to achieve the 8% DBE participation goal. Parsons Transportation Group has successfully completed projects for the Metropolitan Council in Minnesota, WMATA, ODOT, Edmonton Valley, Sound Transit, as well as the RTA and other places. Parsons Transportation Group, they have experienced and experienced staff familiar with multiple transit systems throughout the nation. These staff requests that this committee recommend award to Parsons Transportation Group Incorporated for this project in a contract amount not to exceed $283,739. We'll be happy to take questions, should there be any.
Thank you so much. Just a quick one. So 16 people downloaded it. Do you know why there might have been some hesitancy to move forward with the actual proposal from those who might have applied?
Yeah, so the various firms that I spoke with, they made the business decision. One of the biggest reasons, so to speak, was it's under a very tight time frame, and they have their personnel already on other projects. So,
yeah. Thank you for any questions. Mayor Wise?
Could you just talk just a moment about the timing of the arrival of the new rail cars and this project? How do those two fit together?
Okay, so the first rail car, if I recall correctly, comes March of 2026.
Correct.
The timing for the projects that will be coming to you, if you will, the design for this is 120 days, And then from there, there's, a construction period, which then you have to worry about lead times and all of that, type of stuff. In which case, should everything go perfectly well, then we'll be right where we need to be come March of '26.
It sounds like it's tight.
It is.
Yeah, Mayor Weiss, maybe I can elaborate. This is Mike Schipper. We have a whole series of infrastructure and platform projects that we will be bringing forward in various stages to the board in '24 and '25. The goal is to have all of them constructed by the end of '25 so that we have some float. And if they run over a little bit, we'll be okay. The current schedule for the pilot vehicles, and that's why Brook Park Shop is coming first, because the first vehicles will all be delivered to the Brook Park Shop. We'll have a second set of contracts for the Central Rail Maintenance Facility, but they're lagging a little bit because they won't need to be in the Central Rail facility as fast. So we're staggering these projects. As a matter of fact, next month you will see another one of our projects coming forward related to the actual, in March, related to the actual delivery of the vehicles. So there's a series of projects. This is probably the first one you're seeing to get the AE on board so we can bid it at the end of the year and have it built by the end of '25. But you'll see multiple projects in '24 related to the rail car program.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Yes, Trustee Love.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for that clarification, Director Schipper. Perhaps a question to you, perhaps a question to the presenters. Would it be possible in 2024 to see sort of that comprehensive list as part of the rail car replacement?
Yeah, and we can include that in, we've committed to the board that we'll be bringing some quarterly updates on the whole program, so we'll make sure that the next update isn't as focused on the car.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
To the chair, a few people over here are having a hard time hearing.
Oh,
so
okay.
just wanted to remind everyone to project inside of your microphones so that they can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. Okay. Well, with that, I believe we don't need to move forward with this, correct, Teresa? Need a motion
I
to?
believe we need a motion.
We need a motion to move forward? Okay.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second, Love.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this will move forward to the full board. Thank you so much for that presentation today. And last today for the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee, we will be having a presentation of a competitive procurement for the rehabilitation of the Tower City East Portal. We have Kirk Dimmick, Engineering Project Manager from Engineering and Project Development, and Jonathan Lawley again from the Project Contract Manager of Procurement to do the presentation. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chair Welch, members of the board, members of the committee. Here this morning after some long effort from most everyone in this building. We've been able to pull this one together and bring it back to you. We're here today to talk about the Tower City East Portal rehabilitation, and we're presenting it to the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee. So where is this portal? You really can't see it. When you ride the trains coming in from the east, you're in the dark. It's right before Tower City. On the location map, it's pointing to a location just below Ontario Street where Huron Road intersects. It's directly underneath that, buried in the ground. You used to see LeBron's big picture on the Tower City building. This is just east of that. So the trains coming in through the joint territory go through the portal system. It was built back in the 20s. It's a very old structure. Here's an aerial view. Again, the diagonal road here is Ontario Street. The outline in red is the portal, the Tower City East portal system. It's a series of 4 tunnels. In the next slide, I'll show you the tracks, but you can see where Huron Road in the middle of the slide goes left to right and intersects with Ontario Street. Just below that is the parking lot at Tower City, and at the bottom of the slide is Canal Road that's down another level. So let's take a look at the tracks. We've got, by the time that gets to the portals, we've got 5 tracks that are utilized that come into Tower City. There were a lot more tracks back in the day, but there are currently 5 in the system. Again, you can see to the far right of the slide, that's where the Rocket Mortgage facility is. There's what I call a hockey stick at the very bottom of the slide. It's an orange bent configuration. That's the footbridge that goes from Tower City into Rocket Mortgage, goes through and above the portals. So here we are at track level. Let's look on the left-hand side. You're looking west at Tower City, and you see that Huron Road pedestrian walkway bridge that was put in the 90s that spans across all 5 tracks, goes underground and over to Rocket Mortgage. Those windows there give you a great vantage point of seeing this project. This will be one of the few construction projects that we do here at RTA that almost anyone can see it while it's being done without having to put hard hat, steel-toed shoes, and safety vests on. So I encourage all of you when you're traveling to Rocket Mortgage to look down. So on the right-hand side, the one track that is not level with all the other 4 tracks is track number 8. It goes down into the basement in order for the other tracks to cross and serve each other in moving trains around. The portals themselves are those rectangular openings. This is the east end of the portal. There is a west end of the portal. We're primarily focusing on the west or the east end in the repairs and inside. The area on the west end has been protected by weather over the years, so it's not in as bad a shape. So here's an engineering drawing. At the top of the slide, you'll see the plan view. This looks like an aircraft carrier buried in the ground again. The 4 tracks going through it. Track 13 at the very bottom of the plan travels alongside of this shape. And at the very bottom of this slide is the profile or elevation view where you can see track 8 dips down into the basement. The other 4 travel at that same level above. So we're going to take a slice of that plan view. This is what the configuration of the portals actually look like. You can see from north on your right to track 13 on your left. The project will progress from north to south. We're engaging all 5 tracks in this project. So it will take time to go through and repair through each of these portals. We can't do it all at once. We have to maintain safety. You'll see some pictures here in the coming slides that look, the structure looks pretty tired, but believe me, it's safe to run trains. We've been running trains. That's our job to make sure it's safe. But the time is now that we need to implement some repairs. So here's a view again at track level at that northernmost portal, portal frame track 6. That entrance, because it's been exposed to weather, has deteriorated, so we're going to replace that whole entrance there. And the primary reason for this project and its deterioration over the year has been water intrusion, shown on the right-hand slide here. You can see where we have a lot of ice that build up wherever the water comes out of the ground, whether it's joints or out of the ceiling. The system leaks. In years past, we've had these icebergs grow out into the track area where we've had to remove ice. So that's really the driving force of this project. We want to seal this up and patch what's deteriorated over the years. Here's another view of the portal frames. This is the east end. These do look rather tired, but we're continuing to use them. They're safe in operation at current. But again, they're beyond their useful life. We're ready to fix them. So what are our objectives? We want to extend the service life of this 100-year-old facility. We can do it by conventional methods and materials. It's going to take some time. Like I said, we can't do it all at once. We can't close it down and work on all 5 tracks. We're going to maintain 2 tracks at all times and move the trains around our work site. So again, the collection and distribution of that water, the drainage, that's really important on this project. We're going to replace the portions of those concrete frames that I showed you pictures of. And there's a lot of pipe drainage, both at track level and above us at street level. So we will run machines, clean that out. A lot of material gets in there over 100 years. So there's really not been a project of any sort down in the portals since its construction, so it's ready. We're also going to add some enhanced drainage above the portal frame from Ontario Street down to the portal itself. There's about 15 feet of dirt, and that groundwater finds its way down into the portals. So we're going to put these perforated wick drains just above the portal to draw more moisture before it gets to the frame itself. And then we're going to be able to seal the concrete joints that are down in there. We've had success in injecting materials into the concrete and reacting with the water and creating a water plug. While we're doing that, we have to build some temporary supports. So we have track work that we have to do as a result. So why is the cost so high on this project? Length of time adds one, but the access is really tough here. We have to come in from the south and move across some active tracks during construction, mainly to get into that first set of portals on 6th and 7th. Once they're in their work zone. But as we move each zone, that takes time and money. While we're doing that, we have to provide temporary shoring in each of the portals. We can move one frame to the next, and we have a winter in the way there as well. So it'll slow progress as we move through the winter, but traditional methods can be carried through almost year-round. And then as an impact from the frames themselves, we're going to have to move some tracks around, remove and replace tracks and ballast, but we're able to engage all 5 tracks in 3 phases. And this will minimize the shutdowns on this project. And with that, I'll pass it on to Jonathan.
All right, the invitation for bid for this project was issued October 9th of 2023. 31 interested parties, including subcontractors, reviewed the solicitation. 1 firm submitted a bid. The lowest responsive responsible bidder for this project is the Great Lakes Construction Company. They'll be using a plethora of DBE agencies to meet their 19% goal, such as Cook Paving and Construction, Denise's Flagging, Key Cable and Supply, Intelligent Polymer Solutions, Rockport Ready Mix, Ballast Construction, and Flat Rock Bridge Group. Great Lakes Construction Company has completed projects here at the RTA for ODOT, the City of Cleveland, the City of Hamilton, the City of Akron, as well as Cuyahoga County, among others. For this project, the staff is requesting this committee recommend award to the Great Lakes Construction Company for this project in the contract negotiated amount of $15,739,633. Questions? We will happily take them now.
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions from the committee or board as a whole? Trustee Sleesman.
I don't even know if this is possible, but if someone were to approach us wanting to build something over this, if that's not possible, just short circuit my question now. But if that is possible, is that something we would need to take into account here, or is it irrelevant?
Mike?
I think for most of this, there wouldn't be any construction on top of us. I mean, Huron's already on top of us. We are in a pretty significant coordination with Bedrock on all kinds of things in that area, since they pretty much have most of the property down there. So they have not requested anything on top of the portals. But we will, we're in pretty frequent coordination with that developer in that area.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we were future proofing if that ever becomes relevant.
Mayor Wise.
This system back in the day when they were planning to build this outright, it has accommodations for overhead structures to be built in and around more of this facility. It just so happened that the 29 stock market crash slowed that progress.
Thanks.
Just a quick question, and maybe I missed it in the materials. What's the length of the portals from east to west that are?
Good question. Yeah, I think I mentioned that yesterday, but it's only 800 feet long. So when you're traveling and you blink, you almost miss it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very dark, so it's hard to tell where you are relative on the train.
Yeah.
So 800 feet.
Okay. Thanks.
Trustee Love.
Thank you, Chairman Welch. Thank you for the presentation. I know you spoke a little bit about the minimizing of service impacts, and it may be too early to share at this point in time, but do you anticipate at some points throughout the project that there would be total shutdown and shuttle service replacement in place of rail?
Yeah, so the project did have to accommodate in order to entice bidders to come in. I can't make them stand on their head and tie their hand behind their back and expect them to build everything. So there will be requests that come in. We have the power to approve or disapprove those. We have to work closely with operations to make sure that's timed correctly and the length of work is viable. And if there's another way to do it, we certainly have that conversation with them. But there could very well be a shutdown like we had in the Joint Territories earlier this year to do some work at the substation right there at Eagle Avenue.
If I could add, Trustee Love, so those are coordinated between the engineering group and the service planning group, the operations group, to ensure that we minimize them. But those conversations continue throughout the project with project updates, where the goal is to have enough time to communicate to customers when that service interruption would be at Tower City. Just to provide a bit more information, the number of those tracks, the ones that the trains drive on daily are 8, 13, and 10 East. But during this project, we will have to open up what we call 7-track, but it's a track that's behind the wall that we use in emergencies. So there is a third area for customers to enter the station that isn't in a traditional Tower City Rotunda area. It is north of that and behind a wall. You can't see it, but there's another track that allows us that ability to have 2 openings at all times, 2 tracks moving through Tower City at all times.
Thank you.
And sort of outside the scope of this project, but if you go south of this portal project, it appears there's a section of tracks that might go over a corner of Canal Road, a little farther south. That, I don't know if that's RTA tracks or not.
The Canal Road Bridge, actually, Kirk, I think you had that highlighted in red on one of your slides. We actually have a separate project in the capital improvement program to look at the Canal Road Bridge, and that's kind of in that area that's in the red hatch, I think. And we also are doing some coordination with Bedrock on that particular structure. There's actually an opportunity for our project and some of their project to actually happen at the same time, because some of their proposed stuff will probably have more impact on our tracks outside of the portal. So Canal Road is one of the things that we are in discussion with, but we do have.
So you have some planning dollars in the capital
Yeah,
budget
and-
to analyze that, because that also looked like an older structure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Last time I
yes.
drove underneath it, it was
Yeah.
gave me pause.
It is.
Although safe.
As with the portals, it's structurally sound, but very aesthetically ugly, because we have lost a lot of concrete. But we have design and construction money in the capital improvement program for that project, and we are hoping to coordinate with Bedrock in that so that it actually can be done benefiting their project and our project at the same time.
Thanks. It's great to know that you're monitoring it and you have capital dollars allocated for any future action.
Trustee?
I see that there was only one bidder for this project as well, and similar to Trustee Welsh's question on the last item, just curious if it sounds complicated, that the work plan and the staging is complex here, but wonder if there are specific things that we are aware of that kept others from proposing, and then maybe a broader question for procurement about ways we might encourage more than one bidder on projects.
I'll speak to that. This is Melinda, Director of Procurement. This is a rebid. We already had this out on the street once, and we did not receive any bidders, any interest, mostly due to the complexity. All the reasons that Kirk cited as to why we have a high cost on this are exactly attributed to why we had a very limited base of contractors interested in performing this work, manpower, et cetera. The company Great Lakes, that is the recommended firm, is extremely familiar with these types of complex juggling of catenary and track work and scheduling, et cetera. There's going to be a long period of time. There's a labor force issue also. They will have a lot of subcontractors on this project, which helps support. So there are other contractors working on the project, just not as the prime. Again, when we went out to rebid this, we took all the information when we didn't get any bids last time. Jonathan Kirk did a really good job surveying to find out the reasons why. So the new bid was crafted to hopefully engage additional interest and not scare vendors away. The costs also were reassessed, evaluated for areas that maybe they had said that there might be some recommendations, or we did take some cost out of it. We did some value engineering, and we rebid the job. When we do bids, we do identify what the estimate is. So contractors that bid on an invitation for bid are aware of what the price is, what the estimate is. So again, right then and there, anybody that's looking to bid, they may not be willing to bid on a project or have the resources to bid on a $15 million project. So there's a lot of avenues. We do a lot of outreach. We have a really, really, really good list of contractors that we work with on both the office's business development and just research. We go through all the different cranes, business, et cetera. Again, I think we're very pleased at the fact that we received an excellent contractor to bid on this job. I don't know whether anybody else wants to add anything else, Mike, but we're confident that we're going to move forward with this one with a very good vendor. Does that help?
Yes, thank you for that context,
You're
and I
welcome.
appreciate the work to make the project happen.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions? Do I have a motion to move forward to the full board?
So moved.
Second, Love.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for the presentation. This moves forward to the full board. Do I have a motion to adjourn this Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second, love.
Y'all want to stay in it? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that adjourns the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee meeting.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm calling to order the Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee. Roll call, please.
Mayor Biassiata.
Here.
Mayor Kumar.
Here.
Mr. Sleesman.
Here.
Mayor Weiss.
Here.
And Ms. Welch.
Here.
You have 5 committee members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. We have 3 items today in our committee. The first is for a purchase of a generator and the related expenses. The second is for a digital color printing press and related expenses. And the last is for new software that will help us manage our assets, inventory, and rolling stock. First up is for the procurement of the generator. And we have 2 presenters today, Dave Basso and Maggie Sweddle.
All right. Good morning, Committee Chair Mayor Biassiata, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Dave Basso. I am the Central Facilities Maintenance Manager, and I'll be presenting on the generator preventative maintenance, service, and parts contract. Just to give you a little bit of background, this is a new contract and is the first of several that are heavy in preventative maintenance that are aimed at streamlining our processes by centralizing authority-wide service procurements. Previously, we had numerous small purchase blankets that were bid out yearly. This enables RTA to have set pricing over a time period and helps save on RTA employee hours. Currently, the RTA has 14 generators at various public-facing properties which are at rail, and each one of our districts either has natural gas or a diesel power generator. The service agreement includes planned preventative maintenance program with 2 visits per year, which is a major and a minor. The maintenance includes services like things like oil and filter changes, belt and hose inspections, air filter changes, etc. We actually get an annual 2-hour load bank test, and that's where we're able to actually put the generator at full capacity without actually interrupting service and taking down a building. Included in as an annual thermal imaging scan of each transfer switch, which helps identify any potential problems before they become an emergency. And then also there are provisions for emergency service and repairs as needed. This would be a 3-year base contract with 2 one-year options for renewal. The service agreement guarantees us regular inspections and maintenance to keep our equipment in optimal running condition, prevents downtime and operational disruptions, ensures reliability, efficiency, and longevity of our generator systems, reduces long-time maintenance expenses, and minimizes RTA's risk of service disruptions. I'm going to hand it over to Maggie now.
Thank you, Dave. Good morning, Committee Chair Biassiata, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Maggie Sweddle. I'm the contract administrator, and I'll be presenting the procurement overview. So our RFP was issued October 31st, 2023, and proposals were due November 27th. We had 8 interested parties download the solicitation from the website. A 0% DBE goal was assigned to this project, and we had 1 firm submit a proposal. Our evaluation panel consisted of members from operations, engineering, safety, legal, and procurement. The evaluation criteria were technical expertise, service scope and methodology, reporting and documentation, timeliness and responsiveness, and pricing and cost effectiveness. Our recommended vendor is Buckeye Power Sales Co., Inc. They've been in the generator sales and service business since 1946. They have over 250 employees in 11 locations across Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. They employ 22 full-time service technicians in the Northeast Ohio area, and these technicians go through a rigorous training process. Most are EGSA certified, and that's the Electrical Generating Systems Association, which is their industry trade organization. So most have that certification or are in the process of obtaining that certification. and they also go through Kohler's OEM training. This takes place as a mix of virtual instructor-led training as well as an on-site visit to the Kohler facility in Wisconsin. This is advantageous to the authority in that we have many Kohler generator systems and components. Buckeye Power Sales have a history of positive performance with over 11 years service to the RTA. Other clients include Portage County, Cuyahoga County, Cleveland Clinic, Involta, and the City of Akron. The recommendation, staff requests that the Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee recommend to the Board of Trustees the award for generator preventative maintenance, service, and parts to Buckeye Power Sales Co., Inc. in an amount not to exceed $174,550 for the base 3 years, and in an amount not to exceed $60,850 for option year 1, and in an amount not to exceed $61,350 for option year 2, for a total contract amount not to exceed $296,750 for a 5-year period. This amount is approximately 20% below the independent cost estimate. Any questions at this time?
Any discussion amongst committee members? Mayor Weiss?
Just a factual question. I missed the number of generators that we have, but do you know what the age, the span of age of those generators are? I assume some are very old, and I assume maybe some are more recent acquisitions.
Correct, yeah. I don't know off the top of my head, but they do range from like 20 years to just 2 years old.
Okay. And what's the total number? I missed.
14.
14. Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Board, Ms. Mismarn, floor is yours.
Good morning. Is this a contract that we have in place now, and this is for the next 3 to 5 years?
Right now, we
For
have
the
no
service?
contract, but this will be the new one for the 3 to possibly 5 years.
Okay, we do have an old contract with a different vendor.
We did them as multiple. We each department or division within operations had their own contract, and they are all to Buckeye Power like last year in 2023. But it gives us better buying power and more pricing, and saves on labor hours for procurement, having to bid everything out 5 different times as opposed to once.
Okay, and you said the vendor that this bundled contract would go to is the one that has those different agreements with departments currently?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Love.
Thank you, Chairperson Biassiata. Thank you for the presentation. Just a clarification point on the scope of the work. Is that also inclusive of like a whole holistic understanding of sort of the 14 generators and then their lifespan and replacement plan? Are they responsible for sort of developing that based on their recommendations, or is that a separate process? Looking at the whole resilience of the system.
Correct. Yes, that is included within this. We always discuss with them, hey, how long do we think this is going to last? What's the life expectancy of these generators? And then we put them into our capital improvement project that Mike Schipper was talking about earlier.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Further discussion? Anyone? Hearing none, I move to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. We're going to move on to our second agenda item, which is for the purchase of a digital color printing press, service, parts, and maintenance for 5 years. We'll have 2 speakers, Sherry Lewis, Manager Support Services, and Nikki Pounder, Contract Administrator. Ms. Lewis, floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Biassiata, members of the committee, and members of the board. My name is Shari Lewis, and I'm the Manager of Support Services, as well as the Project Manager for the Digital Color Printing System. The Support Services Department requires a color digital printing system to continue executing print jobs in its copy center here at the main office building. Print jobs are created for internal and external customers, as well as GCRTA stakeholders. Obtaining new equipment will allow the Copy Center to continue to maintain our standard of producing above average print materials for our various customers. So the current equipment was leased from Xerox ComDoc for a period of 5 years, and that lease expired December 31st of 2023. The staff conducted a cost-benefit analysis and determined that it was in the authority's best interest to purchase rather than lease the new equipment. As far as production goes, the Copy Center print jobs include, but are definitely not limited to, the following: monthly retiree newsletters, the Power and Way newsletters, Human Resources New Hire Welcome Books, Rail Operations Rule Books, all of the schedule change documents, which occur at least 4 times a year, that include bus and rail schedules, route books, headways, and pick packets, the ADA applications, writers' alerts, internal audit reports, engineering progress reports, and tax budget books. And now I'll turn things over to Nikki from procurement.
Good morning, Mayor Biassiata, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Nikki Ponder, and I'm the contract administrator for this procurement, and I'll be conducting a procurement overview. The RFP was issued on July 3rd of last year. It was accessed by 4 interested parties on our company's website, and 2 firms proposed. There was a 0 disadvantaged business participation goal that was established by the Office of Business Development. Our evaluation panel members included support services, our information technology group, a member of marketing team, the Office of Business Development, and of course, procurement. Our evaluation criteria consisted of the quality and durability of the actual equipment. So those were the features, the options that were provided, and the functionality, the cost of the equipment itself, delivery, installation, any warranty and services, and training. The quality and experience consisted of any references, and we also had a demonstration of both machines. And the support included of maintenance, service calls, training, and support materials provided to the authority. Our recommended firm is Lake Business Products, located in Highland Heights, Ohio. They are a firm owned since 1960 and locally owned by a female business enterprise, and it was a family business. They are an authorized Canon dealer for over 35 years. They have proven experience in healthcare, education, law, and nonprofit organizations. Their clients include the Cleveland Clinic, Mayfield City Schools, Lake County, and Express Printing, among many others. Our negotiated costs include, for the printer, is $173,511. The maintenance and support, including repairs, training, ink, toner, for a period of 5 years, is not to exceed $113,310. And for the complementary materials like staples is for a 5-year period of not to exceed $1,000. Our recommendation: the staff recommends that the Organizational Service and Performance Monitoring Committee recommend to the Board of Trustees an award to Lake Business Products for the purchase of a digital color printing system, including installation, support, training, and supplies, in a total not to exceed $287,821. And at this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Discussion from the board? Wonderful. It's a general cost of doing business. Good work on this project.
Thank you so much.
Hearing no discussion, I'm going to move to approve through the committee. Do I have a second?
Second. Motion's
Been seconded. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion's carried. Thank you. We're going to move on to our 3rd agenda item, and it's for Ultramain software, which is going to help our agents authority manage our assets, inventorying, rolling stock. We have 2 speakers today, Tania Campbell and Sean Becker. Ms. Campbell, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Mayor Biassiata, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Tonina Campbell, and I am the ITS manager for the Ultramain system. I will be presenting on our Ultramain support agreement for software maintenance and hosting. Ultramain System Incorporated has been RTA's maintenance and supply chain provider for approximately 20 years now. So we have a very established relationship with them. This is for our service agreement will guarantee our software and server environment support, provide system upgrades, timely customer support, and also provide software patches. We're asking for a continuing 3-year agreement for software support and maintenance, software updates, issues resolution and patching, as well as software hosting to manage multiple server environments and also provide disaster recovery. Our software is utilized for facilities and vehicle maintenance. It contains work order and packaging. It also has approximately 140,000 transactions a year with multiple tasks. It has scheduled preventive maintenance and also provides condition tracking. It also is our inventory parts demand and processing, which processes 25,000 transactions each month, which include suggested orders, stock requisitions, purchase order receipts, issue returns, transfer requests, transfers, transfer receipts, disposals, material requisitions, and location changes. At this time, our contract administrator, Sean Becker, will go over the procurement.
Thank you, Tonina. Good morning, Mayor Biassiata, committee members, and members of the board. My name is Sean Becker, and I'm a program contract manager in procurement, and I have historically been responsible for taking the lead on this procurement. So this is a non-competitive purchase with Ultramain Systems, Inc., and per revised code section 306.43H3, competitive procedures are not required when the expenditure is for the renewal or renegotiation of a lease or a license for telecommunications or electronic data processing equipment, services, or systems, or for the upgrade of such equipment, services, or systems, or for the maintenance thereof as supplied by the original source or its successors or assigns. So procurement requested a proposal on September 21st from Ultramain in 2023. A proposal was received on September 28th. There was a 0% DBE goal assigned to this project due to the proprietary nature of that software, and the proposal was reviewed by representatives from IT and procurement. So a little bit about Ultramain's experience. They specialize in best-in-class M&E MRO software. They are pioneers in paperless maintenance for asset management and supply chain software. They have a proven solution with over 35 years in operation, and they support software for heavily in the airlines, aerospace, and transit. This chart shows a breakdown for that 3-year total of $1,766,631. Starting with year one, it's basically a 4% increase year over year, and this is in line with our current contract, so it's very reasonable. And the recommendation. So staff requests that the Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee recommend to the Board of Trustees the award for Ultramain software maintenance, support, and hosting services to Ultramain Systems, Inc. in a negotiated contract amount not to exceed $1,766,631 for a period of 3 years. And this amount is approximately 2% below the independent cost estimate. And at this time, we'll be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Any discussion? Whole board? Anyone? Wonderful. Hearing none, I move to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion's carried. Thank you for your presentation. Any new business for this committee? Here. Yes, floor is yours.
Thank you. Before we go to the Committee of the Whole and the Audit Committee and Executive Section, on behalf of India, I'd like to thank the presenters today for great presentations, but also to thank the board for your questions and comments. These comments and the way that you ask the questions really do push our organization forward, and we love the discourse and comments that this board has provided during today's presentation. So thank you all. Secondly, Tony Garofoli sat at your table, a form. Tony is in the process of creating his 2024 risk-based audit plan. If you would please take a look, and if you have things that you would like to be considered in a 2024 audit plan, please please feel free to either use this form or just simply email them directly with your comments. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. I move to adjourn the Organizational Service and Performance Monitoring Committee at 10:42. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.
Oh, you already have, okay.
Calling together our joint committee, the whole and the audit committee.
Dr. Caver, can you move the microphone a little closer?
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay. President Lucas.
Present.
Mayor Kumar.
Present.
Mayor Biassiata.
Here.
Mr. Love.
Present.
Ms. McPherson. Ms. Mersman.
Here.
Mr. Sleesman.
Momentarily.
Stepped away. Okay. Mayor Weiss.
Present.
And Ms. Welch.
Present.
We have 8 committee members present. We have a quorum.
All right, you want to read the audit committee as well?
Okay. No, we did the initial roll call to open the meeting. Do you want to do both roll calls and then do the reasons? Okay. The next committee roll call will be for the Audit, Safety, Compliance, and Real Estate Committee. Mayor Kumar.
Here.
Ms. Mersman.
Here.
Mr. Sleesman. And Mayor Weiss.
Here.
We have 3 committee members present. You have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. We have a motion now for executive session.
So moved. Mayor Weiss?
Second,
Second.
read the roll.
Okay. President Lucas.
Yes?
Mayor Kumar.
Yes.
Mayor Biassiata.
Yes.
Mr. Love.
Yes.
Ms. McPherson. Yes. Ms. Mersman.
Yes.
Mr. Sleesman.
Yes.
Mayor Weiss.
Yes.
And Ms. Welch.
Yes.
Okay, you have 9 ayes and none opposed. For the first reason for executive session, to the chair, would you like to read that first reason, which will go under your committee?
Consider GCRTA's security arrangements and emergency response.
Okay. The third item will go under Mayor Kumar's committee. Mayor, would you like me to call the roll for that? Okay, so Kumar is going to move.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes or for the sale of property at competitive bidding.
Okay. Is there a second from that committee?
Second. Mayor Weiss?
Okay. All right, Mayor Kumar?
Yes.
Ms. Mersman?
Yes.
Mr. Sleesman?
Yes.
And Mayor Weiss?
Yes.
You have 4 ayes and none opposed.
All
Okay.
right, I'm going to ask you to say who should remain.
Thank you. For the first committee, first executive session, which is for the security arrangements, I'll ask the chief
All right. We have a motion to come out of executive session. Second,
Second.
call the roll.
All right. Reverend Lucas,
Present.
Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
Mayor Biassiata.
Yes.
Mr. Love,
Yes.
Ms. McPherson. Ms. Mersman,
Yes.
Mr. Sleesman,
Yes.
Mayor Weiss,
Yes.
and Ms. Welch.
Yes.
We have 9 ayes and none opposed.
And Teresa, do we need to call roll for the audit committee as well?
I believe so, for the audit committee. Okay.
Is there a motion to come out of executive session for the audit committee?
So moved, Mayor Weiss.
Second.
Second, Mersman.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
Ms. Mersman,
Yes.
Mr. Sleesman,
Yes.
and Mayor Weiss.
Yes.
You have 4 ayes and none opposed.
All right, we have one order of business, and that is to move the item from the police department to the full board. Is there a motion?
Motion Welch.
Second, Mersman.
All right, we have to call the roll on this.
Okay. Okay, President Lucas,
Yes.
Mayor Kumar,
Yes.
Mayor Biassiata.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Love,
Yes.
Ms. McPherson. Yes. Ms. Mersman,
Yes.
Mr. Sleesman,
Yes.
Mayor Weiss.
Yes.
And Ms. Welch.
Yes.
You have 9 ayes and none opposed.
All right. Any other business before us today? Again, thank you very much, Dr. Gabriel, for being with us. And we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Motion Welch.
Second.
Second. Any discussion ever on that? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Oh, no, thank you very much. See you at the board meeting.